Hi everyone, we are live from the COP23 event in Bonn, Germany, from the CGIAR booth, and I'm here with Dr. Alan Nicol, the Principal Researcher and Strategic Program Leader at the International Water Management Institute. Hi Alan, thank you for being here with us.
Pleasure.
Now, could you tell us, why is it important to include agriculture in the discussion relating to climate change?
Okay, so I think probably, there are two sides to it. One is that agriculture, how farmers farm, determines to some extent what happens in the carbon cycle, the carbon content of the soil, issues there to do with mitigation, carbon sequestration, capture. On the other side, how farmers farm, the resources they use, partly determine resilience, how strongly they can adapt to climate change, how resilient they can become. So it's very much part of the broader debate around resilience and climate change, and also part of the mitigation side. So I think there are two things there. And clearly how farmers use water determines availability for other users. In a climate where water resources are, say, constricted or becoming more scarce, you have therefore very serious trade-offs between agricultural water use using more than 70% in most cases of available fresh water, and domestic usage or industrial usage, and of course the environmental flows that are so important to ecosystem service provision. So those are two sort of sides to the answer.
And how does your work in particular contribute to a more climate smart future?
Well, in our program we're looking at issues to do with growth, sustainable growth. We're looking to understand the constraints on water management and the ways in which better water management can unlock growth challenges. So understanding trade-offs, understanding how to manage landscapes, water and land, ecosystem landscapes more effectively, developing new tools to ensure efficient use of the water resources, finding ways of bringing renewable energy into the water management for agriculture equation, ag-water management, water-smart agriculture you might call it. So using solar energy to boost micro irrigation for smallholder farmers can be one really important way of determining how they can avoid vulnerability at particular times of the year. So when, for instance, there's a shortfall in rain at a particular time in the cropping season, fruiting of particular crops, for example, access to supplementary irrigation can be a hugely important risk mitigation factor. So we're working on those kinds of issues, but we're also working very much on the gender and the social side. Yeah, we're looking at the ways in which better gender equality, gender empowerment can strengthen the systems, the social systems surrounding farming, so that you can build, for instance, better responses to what is called feminization of agriculture in parts of South Asia, right? So lots of out-migration from male members of communities, leading to this phenomenon, feminization of agriculture, which has some positive but some negative challenges associated with it, including how to manage best the development of farming in those contexts. So where there is feminization of agriculture, how can you support the women who are part of that farming system? How can you build their input into farming system governance, into access to resources, into rights issues, land and water rights? So, it's really trying to understand that social sustainability aspect, which is very important.
Excellent, thank you very much. And so I understand that you've been involved in several side events here at COP23 this week, one of which focused on whether or not sustainable land and water management is compatible with small-scale farming under climate change. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, yeah, it was yesterday. We had a really good event, probably over 100 people came, and we had speakers from the African Development Bank, we had farmers associations, we had SIP, of course, were there, potato people talking about sweet potatoes. We had really interesting presentations from a range of actors and good audience participation, and some pretty tough questions coming in from the audience, actually, which was interesting for me. One from a Zimbabwean lady, which I found particularly interesting. She was saying, well, okay, you're talking about better crop varieties, you're talking about better water management, You're talking about, better local conditions for financing. But what about the integration of all this together? Yeah, you come at us. She was saying you can be sending very separate messages to us, but the challenge at a local level is really understanding the integration of these different elements in farming systems. So basically, she's saying, how do you build a more systematic approach to supporting smallholder farmers? Because they can't do it on their own. My presentation sort of focused on the fact that a lot of farmers are doing their own kind of irrigation development and management, right? So they're doing their own thing. But, that is insufficient because it leaves the burden of risk on smallholder farmers. When governments really, local government in particular, has to play a stronger role in providing services, outreach, extension that can support farmers in making choices, in also acting as a sort of go-between in terms of financing, getting access to credit, building a more amenable or enabling environment for farmers to bring in new technologies, to try things out. Because one of the big issues that popped up yesterday, which I think is interesting, is, how far is our approach to farming kind of taking farmers as far as they need to go in resilience terms, yeah, but not as far as they need to go in terms of generating a surplus, creating more than they can, need for subsistence, more that they can market, more that they can use within value chains, help develop value chains, work with local private sector operators, effectively, creating not just a more commercial kind of agriculture, but an agriculture that is linked into a stronger post-harvest agro-industry, development of new industries, new jobs, employment, the kinds of forward linkages in the economies that are so important. So we have to think of smallholder farmers in that broader context as well, the value chain context, which is very important. And from a water perspective, particularly this notion of water smart agriculture, it's about linking together all these various elements. Water management, soil and water management together, market linkage, value chains, and social sustainability, so gender empowerment, gender equality, and a more inclusive approach to farming systems.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. And please continue looking at our social media channels throughout the week as we keep you posted on everything going on at COP23. Thank you.